Lars Mittank. In the summer of 2014, Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German tourist, traveled with friends to Varna, Bulgaria, where they stayed at the Golden Sands Resort. After the holiday, Mittank was captured by cameras at the airport, showing how he bolted from the building as if he was being chased and disappearing into a field of sunflowers. He was never seen again. The group of friends arrived in the city on the Bulgarian Black Sea coast on June 30th, 2014. The following week, Lars Mittank engaged in a quarrel with rival fans of Bayern Munich, as he was a passionate Werder Bremen fan. The young man then abandoned his friends at the bar, and he was unaccounted for the rest of the night. Fortunately, Mittank turned up at their hotel room the following morning. However, he claimed that the four men with whom he had argued earlier had beaten him. Other accounts maintain that Mittank claimed that the Bayern fans had hired a local man to do the dirty work. Regardless, a doctor confirmed Mittank's injuries, and he was given antibiotics to bear the pain from a cracked jaw and ruptured eardrum. He was also advised to avoid flying, but he reassured his friends that he would be fine, and the gang left without him. Mittank then checked into a hotel for one night, and it was said that he was behaving strangely, claiming that he was being chased again. The young man then hid in the hotel elevator for a long time before leaving the building at midnight. He returned hours later and even called his mother, asking her to cancel his credit cards because four men were coming after him. The following day, Mittank headed to the airport and fled in the middle of a discussion with a doctor who would clear him to travel. He left behind a bag and was spotted running across the parking lot and then climbing a fence. It was the last time he was seen. The footage has been seen by millions on YouTube, earning him the title of the world's most famous missing tourist. Kendrick Johnson. In January of 2013, a young man's body was discovered upside down inside a rolled-up mat in his high school gym. He was 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson, and state authorities ruled his passing an accident. An autopsy later found that he perished from positional asphyxia while trying to retrieve a shoe. But roughly a decade later, the case was reopened, much to the satisfaction of his family, who never believed the official version. At the request of Kendrick Johnson's relatives, a second autopsy determined that he had actually passed away from blunt force trauma to the right side of his neck, and federal investigators conveyed that the, quote, manner of death was not an accident. What's more, Johnson's last moments were captured in a CCTV video and gave the family reasons to believe that the footage was edited as part of a cover-up. Besides skipped frames in the video, it was found that the body was stuffed with newspaper after the first police autopsy, so the organs weren't reviewed thoroughly, further complicating the situation. By late 2013, nearly 100 people were interviewed by officials in a federal criminal civil rights investigation. Moreover, thousands of emails and texts were sourced, as well as surveillance videos from the school. Independent medical consultants also offered insight. However, the case was closed in June of 2016, as it couldn't be proven beyond doubt that the black student had been attacked, perhaps even with racial implications. It wasn't until retired Lowndes County Sheriff Ashley Polk rejoined the office in 2019 that the case was revived. Polk sought to obtain crucial federal documents, but they were declined. Still, the victim's family kept pushing for answers, as the case was reopened at a time of severe racial injustices featured in the media. Community activist Marcus Coleman served as the family's spokesperson from the beginning of the investigation, inspired by many of the recent high-profile racial incidents. Finally, the sheriff's office received 17 boxes full of evidence from the case, and Polk explained, quote, "This will be the first time anybody's had everybody's evidence in one place, so I'm planning to go through every bit of it. If we find a contradiction, we're going to resolve any contradiction, or try to." Nourin Jazlin Binti Jasmine. A surveillance video showing a suspicious motorcycle rider dropping off a gym bag was released in 2007 by the Malaysian police. It was later found that the bag contained the remains of an 8-year-old girl who had gone missing a month earlier. Her name was Nourin Jazlin Binti Jasmine. Nourin was last seen in August of 2007 when she was abducted by an unidentified man and put into a white van outside her family's rented apartment in Kuala Lumpur. It was later determined that she was kept alive for about 28 days. The bag was dropped in front of a shop in Petaling Jaya, over 20 kilometers away from her house. Unfortunately, the police ran out of leads after a female suspect mysteriously swallowed a SIM card containing evidence. 14 years later, her father is still looking for the culprit. Quote, "If my daughter had died in a car accident or drowned in a lake, whether we want to or not, we would have to accept it. But what happened to my daughter involves a third party. It's heart-wrenching." Not only was the Jasmine family outraged, but the entire country was as well. After her passing, the authorities created the National Urgent Response Information Network for Missing Children as a reminder of what can happen if the authorities and the population don't act soon. In a similar fashion, the America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response, or Amber Alert, was named after Amber Hagerman, a 9-year-old who suffered a similar fate in the US in 1996. Though Nurin's name was later shortened to NUR, her father hopes the original name will be reinstated as an homage to his beloved daughter. Amy Joan Marie Fry Pitson. The body of Amy Fry Pitson was found in a motel in May of 2011. She had kidnapped her son to take him away from her husband and left a note saying that Timothy was safe and cared for by people who loved him. She then added, quote, "You will never find him." When Timothy's mother picked him up from kindergarten on May 11th in Aurora, Illinois, the 6-year-old wasn't suspicious, and neither were the school authorities. They then went on a 2-day road trip to the zoo and a water park, and Tim was never seen again. James Pitson, Amy's husband and Tim's father, narrated how Amy had vertigo the morning of their disappearance, but insisted on taking their son to school. James argued with her and eventually dropped Tim at school himself, saying, quote, "Love you, buddy. I'll pick you up later." But when James arrived that afternoon to pick him up, he found out Amy had withdrawn him hours earlier. He didn't learn of their whereabouts until Amy called him on May 12th and said, quote, "Timothy is fine. Timothy belongs to me. Timothy and I will be fine. Timothy is safe." As footage from that day shows, the morning of their disappearance, Amy picked her son up from school, telling the teachers it was an emergency. The last images of the pair were taken at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Then Amy was seen again on CCTV 120 miles away by herself and walking out of a supermarket with a pen, paper, and envelopes. On May 14th, Amy's body was found in a Rockford Inn motel room, but Tim's whereabouts are unknown to this day. Brandon Woodard. Gruesome footage was captured by a school security camera on West 58th Street in New York City on December 10th, 2012. Released by the NYPD, the images show a suspicious man walking to ambush his victim. Moments later, Brandon Woodard was shot in the back of the head. Subsequent investigation exposed a California to New York smuggling ring, and a jury of 6 men and 6 women determined that 39-year-old Lloyd T. McKenzie hired a gunman to shoot Woodard in cold blood and avoid paying 5 kilograms of cocaine. McKenzie, a party promoter from Queens, arranged an East Coast meeting and lured his victim to the incident's location via text messages, then distracted him with a phone call. The shooter then completed the job and vanished through the Midtown Tunnel without a trace. The trial sentenced McKenzie to 15 to 25 years of prison for the second-degree murder of the 31-year-old law student. It was also discovered that he owed the victim $161,000. 3 other people were also accused, 2 of whom were convicted of conspiracy and drug-related offenses, while the third was acquitted of all charges. The lead prosecutor concluded, quote, "Killing each other is just what drug dealers do when they have a drug-dealing dispute. There's no mediation of dispute in the drug world." Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more fascinating stories and unsolved mysteries, don't forget to subscribe to all our Dark Documentaries channels and hit the bell icon to be notified of our newest content. Stay tuned.